can't. Often we need to hide the knife we're carrying, hide the antagonism. So when we get ourselves in a messy, impure situation, are we still operating with the full awareness that the state is our enemy? And are we still committed to its destruction? Because the moment we think we might be able to come to an understanding with the state, any form of state, we have become our own worst enemy. The very existence of the state is a war against everyone. The war is happening whether we choose it or not. Admitting that the war is already here gives us the power to fight back. It also helps us understand the source of the immense exhaustion and trauma in many of our lives.
In a capitalist or a statist sense, infrastructure would be the structures that kind of rest below everything, that hold everything up, that allow for the extension of state power, the accumulation of capitalist profits, things like highway systems, electrical grids, at a massive scale that can power, the factories, the highways that can transport the goods, ports that can, move goods internationally. But what is an infrastructure for anarchists, for revolutionaries, for people who are trying to change society, for a radical struggle? Infrastructure are the spaces where we can actually come together and create relationships. That infrastructure might include places of learning radical skills, learning radical histories. So we noticed that there were a lot of these projects that were focusing on building capacities, and there were all sorts of these different groups that we realized had, existed. And one amazing thing about them is they were much less ideologically focused, which didn't mean that they didn't think about theory. It didn't mean that, they weren't smart about, different approaches to revolution, but it meant that what they were putting first was creating something that gave us a capacity that we didn't have under capitalism, a capacity that the state or that capitalism steals from us. People know what they need in their day-to-day work, especially if they ever have the time to stop and think about it, or if we have an intentional space, that in this case, that would last like 3 days, a couple times a year, where we were curating a space or facilitating a space that really enabled and encouraged people to identify their needs, find out what they have to offer, what they really want to share, and what they need, and then allowing people to make their own initiatives. And that initiative might actually bring together all of the different projects there, or it might only bring together 2 projects or 3 projects. It might allow, 4 people who are there who don't have any project, but, want to find one. It might, link them together so that they can create one. We trust people to organize themselves, and that, I think, is a fundamental feature of anarchism and of effective struggle.